Hello, I'm Dr Jodi Richardson, and you're listening to Well, Hello Anxiety, a podcast where we end the struggle with anxiety and build our toolkit of practical skills to thrive. Hello, welcome back. I'm your host, Dr Jodi Richardson, and it is wonderful to be back with you, just you and me again, for this episode, which I'm calling Anxiety Can't Hurt Us. Stay with me. It's all going to make sense. I know how debilitating it is. I know how paralyzing it can be. I know how overwhelming it can be. I do, because those of you that are part of this community and have been on this journey will know I have had anxiety since I was 4. And I still have anxiety. I have an anxiety disorder. However, I thrive with anxiety, and that's what I want for you as well. For those of you who are new to the podcast, thank you so much for joining us. There are lots of episodes that you'll be able to go back to and learn from that will make a really powerful difference for your life's journey and being able to really dial anxiety down and get on with doing all the things that you'd love to do. So, as I said, today's episode I'm calling Anxiety Can't Hurt Us. And the reason I'm calling it that is because it's true. We know that when our anxiety rises, how it makes us feel physically. And I know that it feels overwhelming, that it feels awful. In fact, we know that it can feel anything from a little bit uncomfortable to absolutely horrendous. And I've experienced that whole spectrum myself. And I experience anxiety every single day. But what I wanted to talk to you about today is the idea that we understand why anxiety feels the way it does, the physiological changes that occur in the body when we're feeling anxious, and what we also know. Remember, my definition of anxiety is that it is the brain and the body's response in anticipation of a threat. So let's dial back for a second and think about there's a part of our brain that can detect a threat in our environment. In fact, that part of our brain is always scanning our environment for cues of safety or danger. And when that part of our brain, called the amygdala, detects a threat or detects danger, and this is happening below the level of consciousness, then the fight or flight response will be initiated. Now, absolutely, we need that, and we need all of those changes that occur in our body to kick in when we are genuinely facing a threat. And I hope that that's not the case for you on a regular basis, that you are genuinely threatened and that your safety is something that is threatened and that's necessary for you. If that's the case, I really hope that you have people in your community that you can reach out to and reach out for support. But for most of us, this alarm in our brain detects a threat where there is no actual danger to our safety. And it can be everything from recording a podcast episode like this. It could be from putting your hand up to speak in a boardroom. It can be going for a new job. It could be catching up with an old friend who you haven't seen in years. It could be supporting a friend who's going through a difficult time. There are lots of experiences that we go through in life that will set this alarm in our brain off, sound the alarm, put us into fight or flight, but our safety is actually not in danger. But the brain doesn't know the difference, and the body doesn't know the difference either. This response, this fight or flight response, will switch on whether we're in a situation that is genuinely dangerous for us, whether we are imagining something that's dangerous. So you might be lying in bed thinking about a job interview that you've got coming up. Your brain will switch on the fight or flight response. It will be as if you had a snake in your room. And we also know that it switches on when we perceive danger, even when the danger is actually not present. And so Anxiety 101 was an episode I recorded to help really explain a lot of this, but I think it's important to revisit it. I think it's also important to really address the fact that when we do feel anxious, it can feel absolutely awful. Nobody likes it. We're not talking here about liking feeling anxious, because so many things happen. Our hearts start to beat faster, to pump more blood around our body. Our breathing changes so that we have more oxygen available to really power our muscles to enable us to genuinely face up and fight the threat, or to run like heck in the other direction and get ourselves out of there to keep ourselves safe. We have blood shunted from our digestive system to our arms and legs, hands and feet, so that we are better equipped to defend ourselves or flee. And yet what this does is it makes the tummy feel really sick. And it's often a first sign for young people, is this really upset tummy. I feel sick, mum. I don't want to go to school, was what I used to say when I was a 4-year-old who was starting to experience anxiety. We know that muscle tension increases, so we can become tense. We can clench our jaw. We can get headaches because this muscle tension is really important because it helps us to be more powerful when we're keeping ourselves safe. But when we're sitting on a chair at work or trying to read our children a book at night, then that muscle tension can just feel really awful. Our blood pressure can rise when we're anxious. We can experience tingling. We can experience trembling because of all of the adrenaline. And of course, our brains become laser focused on the threat. Laser focused because the brain is on a mission to understand this threat and keep you safe. So that rumination, that laser focus, and it can be that's where the worry comes in, the constant turning over of this particular challenge in our mind to try to solve this problem that can just drive the anxiety even higher. Of course, we know some threats are dangerous, but most aren't. Yes, we want fight or flight when we need it. Absolutely, we do. But most of the time, our fight or flight is switching on. For those of us with an anxiety disorder, we have sensitive, overprotective brains that are seeing threats where there really aren't any. And what I wanted to tell you today and remind you and introduce you to is this idea that all of those feelings, all of those changes in our physiology and our thinking are not actually dangerous, right? They do make us feel uncomfortable. They do make us feel uneasy. We can feel distressed. We can feel horrendous, and we can feel really debilitated by it. But a really beautiful step to take towards being able to bring our anxiety with us and live a really rich life with anxiety is to be able to recognize, on the whole, when we feel anxious, whilst it doesn't feel good, it's not going to hurt us. So today's episode is really about extending on this idea that we don't have to like it, and also this idea that we don't feel good all the time. It's not natural to feel good or happy all the time. We are human. We have a range of emotions, and they're like signposts for us. So if you can think of anxiety in that way, you could ask the question, I wonder what my anxiety is telling me here. And so often our anxiety is telling us, this matters. This is something that I care about. This is really important. When we feel anxious, we actually don't have to do anything about it. I remember being at a presentation at Melbourne Girls Grammar one evening, talking to a group of parents, and I was sharing a little bit about my own journey. And I remember standing there and saying, I feel anxious because I care about my work. I care about connecting and educating and making a difference. But I can stand here before you in front of a room of hundreds of parents, and I can feel anxious, but I know I'm safe. I know I'm safe. I've got all of the racing heart, the changes to my breathing. I'm starting to perspire. I'm feeling this mobilizing energy coming into place. Our bodies will dump glucose into our bloodstream, so we've got a really ready source of energy. And I distinctly remember saying, I feel anxious now, but I know it's not dangerous. It can't hurt us. But because of how it feels, so often the instinctive thing to do is to think, I don't like it. I don't want to feel like this. How can I stop this? How can I get rid of it? What we know around anxiety is that the more we fight it, struggle with it, deny it, try not to feel it, try to get rid of it, we only make it worse. And so today I'm sharing with you 5 strategies that can really help us when the anxiety is building and you're having thoughts of, I can't cope, what's going to happen, that dread, the catastrophic thinking, the feeling of just complete overwhelm. So today I'm sharing 5 different ways. Some of them overlap a little bit, but 5 different approaches that you might like to try to help to be less reactive when anxiety shows up, more mindful in your choices about what you do next. And the beautiful Dr. Chris McCurry, there's a lovely quote he shared with me years ago, which was, anxiety happens. What matters most is what happens next. So what can you do? The first thing I'd love to suggest for you is to say, well, hello, anxiety. It's lovely to see you. Thank you for being here and trying to keep me safe. When we have an understanding that there is a part of our brain that is so protective and primal, and its number one job is to keep us safe and keep us alive. So when we're able to say, well, hello, anxiety, thank you for showing up. I understand why you're here, but I'm actually okay. And that recognition of what the role of the anxiety is and that greeting is a really lovely way to be able to start showing some acceptance for the anxiety that's showing up for you in that moment. My second idea that I'm sharing today is name it to tame it. And this comes from the brilliant author, co-author of the book, The Whole Brain Child. But this is a strategy that any of us can use, helpful for those of you who are parents and teachers. But equally, we can do this for ourselves. Name it to tame it. Here's anxiety. I'm feeling anxious. I can recognize this for what it is. When we can accurately name how we're feeling, we can reduce the distress around that feeling by up to 50%. So this is a very powerful approach. Simply being able to recognize what's happening and say, here's anxiety. Here's anxiety. I'm feeling anxious. And you might add to that, and that's okay. Strategy number 3 today is about becoming curious about how you feel. Really noticing what's happening in your body, recognizing it for what it is, and noticing what are the telltale signs for you when your anxiety is showing up. Is it your stomach starts to turn over as blood is shunted to other parts of your body? Is it that you feel your heart rate going up? Is it that you just get really sweaty? Is it that your breathing starts to change? Because there can become an imbalance in oxygen and carbon dioxide. And with low levels of anxiety over time, we can breathe in a shallow way for hours. And we can arrive at a point where can't get that full breath, or I feel like I just can't get a satisfying kind of breath and a natural breathing pattern in a moment of anxiety. And so just being curious, what does anxiety look like for me? There's so many signs and symptoms. Does it affect your thinking? Are the sensations in your body the first signs? Is it the way you feel? Do you feel emotional or angry? Or is it your behavior, what you do, your actions that are a signal for you that anxiety is showing up? So become curious. Learn about how it shows. Know that it's your brain's way of keeping you safe. Recognize it when it's showing up, and then you'll be able to put a strategy into play. So my fourth strategy is about noticing it and naming it, and then bringing in some beautiful belly breaths, really using your diaphragm and practicing your breathing in a way that enables you to use your diaphragm so that you can have full gas exchange through your lungs and lengthen out your exhalation. So you might like to come up with some sort of pattern that's suitable for you. Maybe breathe in for 4, breathe out for 7, breathe in for 5, breathe out for 8. What's comfortable for you? What feels right for you? Or maybe a box breathing strategy where you can simply picture a square and imaginarily, is that a word? Imagine yourself drawing up one side of the box as you breathe in, as you draw along the top of the box, you hold. As you exhale and breathe out, you're moving your finger or hand down the other side of the box, and then across the bottom of the box, you're pausing again at the end of the exhale. That might be a strategy that is really powerful for you, because when we do this type of breathing, it initiates the relaxation response and it shows that part of our brain, you're safe, you're okay, stand back, thank you for keeping me safe, but I'm okay. And so breathing is really powerful, but I really encourage you to practice a breathing routine on a daily basis so that when you need to do the heavy lifting of drawing on that skill, when anxiety is really rising, then your brain and your body will be much more practiced at being able to bring that beautiful calming strategy into place. And my last strategy is FACE, F-A-C-E, an acronym I've shared before on the podcast as well. This is all about F, focus on what you can control. A, acknowledge how you're thinking and how you're feeling. You might bring in a little bit of self-compassion that this is a moment of challenge. This is a painful moment. This is a moment of suffering. And this is not a distraction. This is not about avoiding how you're thinking and feeling. This is an acknowledgement that you are going through a difficult moment. C is about coming back into your body. Get out of your head and into your body. And will you do that using your senses, through your breath, through movement? How will you get out of your head and into your body after you've taken a moment to really experience how it is that you're feeling? And E is engage in what is important. Please don't wait to feel good, to feel better, to feel anxiety-free, to step forward. I'm not saying you have to leap forward, just a little shuffle will do. Some days we can do a little bit more than others, but take your anxiety with you, because your anxiety is going to show up around the things you care about. And I want you to be fully self-expressed in your life, and for your anxiety to be something that comes with you as you take steps in the direction of your ambitions, your hopes, your dreams, what's really, really important. That could be hobbies you'd like to try. Maybe you want to start singing lessons. Maybe you want to go and do a pottery class, or maybe you want to start a business. Whatever it is, it doesn't have to be professional. Personal pursuits are so important. And those of us who are driven, it's really important, I think, to remember that sometimes when we're looking for something in our lives, we don't have to always think about fulfilling that need through our work, and that we can fulfill our needs in lots of ways that don't necessarily put us under more pressure from a professional point of view. So today's episode is all about anxiety. It can't hurt us. It doesn't mean we have to like it, but please, if you can, next time anxiety bubbles up, think about which of these strategies you might like to try. You might like to just go, oh, here's anxiety. Hello, anxiety. Thank you for coming along and trying to keep me safe, but I'm okay. Thanks a lot. We don't really have to be besties, but the more we reject our anxiety, the more it comes back at us. So it's a really powerful way to make meaningful change in your experience of living with anxiety. I know that these strategies have made a powerful change for me, and I love sharing with you everything that I use for myself, that I use in my family, and that I am continuing to learn, not only through my beautiful podcast guests, but through the incredible people I meet and through all of my reading and extended learning as well. So that is it for me. Thanks again. You're just such an amazing community. Thank you so much for your beautiful feedback. I'd be so grateful if you are enjoying the podcast, you are learning something, you could please rate and review. It really does make such a powerful difference to other people looking for a podcast that will help them. And it doesn't take too long. I'd really be grateful if you did. It really does mean a lot. Thank you again so much for your time, and I'll see you next week. Bye. Thank you so much for joining me for this week's episode. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe and leave a review. To keep the conversation going, I'd love you to join me over on Instagram. You'll find me at Dr Jodi Richardson. Also, if you'd like a copy of my free 5-day mini email course, Calm Your Anxious Brain, then jump over to my website, drjodirichardson.com, and you can sign up down the bottom. I've really enjoyed having your company. Thanks so much. See you next time.